Right. Not a clue what I'm talking about right now. Just trying to think about something to say, because if I say what's in my head right now, it's going to be so hypocritical, and I don't want to be a hypocrite, especially not online where everyone can see. You know what? I will. I'll go into the ancient Spinjutsu techniques that some people have seemed to discover. This one is for the masters, by the way. This one is for the Zen, the real Zen people. This one is for the people who do a pretty good job reading. But not all the time, which is me. So obviously I'm making the video for me. You can read far more than you actually do. I think that's the point. That is especially my point. That when I keep seeing all these godforsaken, I read 200 books in 4 minutes, I saw this one video recently. Oh, the rage I'd felt. Good video though, you should check it out. I don't remember its name. It's one of those. Basically, the dude. The thing is, the humility of that guy would have to be insane, because he read all those books at a local library, but he didn't come in and whack them on his bookshelf and say, "Look how smart I am." He just read them and put them back. He read Canary Row, Tortilla Flat. If you'll know the video, because you'll realize the video when I say he didn't like Tortilla Flat. That pissed me off. Alright, he didn't like Tortilla Flat, and that one was a rager, because to me it was one of the naturally most funny books I'd ever read, and I honestly reading it more I read it more as a comedy as anything, and fun d'avoir. Anyways, that guy read a book a day, and can I just say some no bullshit, this here is about 120 pages. Not even the size of a normal book. There's absolutely no dilly-dallying way that I can read this in one day. Now there is obviously, I can do it in a day. I definitely could. It would just take a lot of concentration, and to that I have to say, what was blood doing? I think when these challenge videos come around, I often think, well, maybe you're doing a challenge at a time in your life that you're able to. Because to me right now, I was looking at all the things to do in the day, and so you know what, if I'm gonna try and if I'm gonna try and read, I'm gonna have to take a couple of these things and just not do them. Which to me is that. It's that sort of starstruck reality of, I've got things written down here, right? Let me just go through them. So I wake up, I do my simple things. I pray, read my Bible every day. Journal. I got to journal every day. You got to journal every day, alright? Real men journal, in my opinion. I sit down, I try to make a video, and for the love of God, I try to make my house clean. You know what they say, cleanliness is next to godliness or whatever. And then I've got some. Typically, I think I'll end up going somewhere and doing things, and I think that puts a crux in the whole system, because regardless, after I do all the morning stuff, it's okay, and this sounds so ridiculous. I sound so unemployed, but when I have to go out and get the bus, I don't read. I should read while I walk, which sounds stupid. I read on the bus sometimes. There's times where I read on the bus and I'm just like today I got the sax lesson, right? So I'm gonna leave the house at 2:00. Hopefully I'm gonna read there and back, and that would do a good 20 pages. Well, it should do. It would do really if I focused. But I'm on the bus and all of a sudden a lady comes on. I'm like, how do I look handsome right now? Like, give it a rest. Give it a rest, lad. Just shut up and read the book. Now it's happening outside. You know, you're flying by places, so nothing it really exists. Just read. But I don't. In the nighttime especially, I feel like when I come home, I give myself this leeway, this sort of moral license into to sort of rot. Like every man does, I think. You know, it is what it is. But I'd like to read this bloody book, and I can't, because every time I come home, I'm like, oh, I'll do now. But I should make it a point to. Oh, here we go. I'll pull up. I'll say some shit on it. Might not. Where is it? Where is it? If I don't find it, it's gotta be here. It has to be here. Unless I've moved it to a really stupid place. There it is. There it is. Don't even know why I got the book. I could have just said it. What a beautiful book. I'm not actually a big fan of this type. I've only ever read a Collins classic with the Paradise Lost. Not a fan of it. I went to the woods because I wished to live deliberately, to find only the essential facts of life and see if I could not learn what it had to teach, and not, when I came to die, discover that I had not lived. Butchered that, but like, what a book. What a book, you know. What an absolute banger. And I think that is really the sort of main thesis. We don't live deliberately, you know. Ruled by overthinking, ruled by thoughts. And I had it in mind to speak on this, I think, at some point, that overthinking kills a man, you know. And I used to hate the whole, the meme of like a man who has nothing to, the man who thinks all the time has nothing but thoughts. I was like, oh, I hate that, because like I think, like, what is a human meant to do? But obviously I don't understand the man's context and his voice and his decision and the place and time he was at to say that. But I get in my own way what I've took from it, which is, overthinking really does kill people. Every small moment counts, every single one, because if you were to fill your day up with, you wake up, you do your morning stuff, right? And then maybe you put on some music, a nice appropriate music, do some things, get dressed, whatever it might be, work, and you leave. Perhaps it's in all the spare moments you find you live them intentionally. Whereas, for me, like, the morning routine seems to go one after another, and there's no breaks in that. Don't know why I would put a break in that. Nobody would. But then you get to the point where you're about to get dressed and all sorts. You can't really do much then. You can't really do much then. I would say put on an audio book, but I'm not going to say that because I think technology needs to go in the bin. And the more you have an audio book, the more you probably support Amazon and, try just be like a radically insane Luddite, please. No, but you get dressed, and then what, And then it seems like, oh, well, I put on some headphones and I'll walk, and that's fine. Like, it is fine. But, like, the times when you catch yourself scrolling, why you not, I don't know. Also, by the way, that guy read this in a day. Fucking insane. I would love to be able to fly through books, and I think the more you catch yourself scrolling, if you could read a page every time you were scrolling, you might be better off. You might actually be better off. It's crazy how, like, if you actually live your life with the intentions and the actions which align with your principles, it's a good life. And it's insane to think that that's, kind of a mind-boggling statement to me at a certain point in time, and even in life when I seem to be going well, that could come back and still bite us in the arse and genuinely be a statement that's like revolutionary. That if you genuinely live life with your principles and your actions sort of align with, well, they do align with them, then you will like live so well, Yeah, it's true that I'm not going to be able to go through this in a day because I have all of these things down, but imagine if I'm able to do all these things and then I do my work and then I read on the bus and I go do my things and I go read on the bus and then I come home and I do a couple of things which do not take long. Let's be quite frank for a minute. And then I do some more work, sprinkle a little bit of writing in there. Just try to, it's a very low-key day, so this week was quite low-key. I think the classes got cancelled and stuff, so quite low-key. Sprinkle a little bit more in there, and eventually it's like what? It's like 6. Oh, why is he gonna do this? It's like 7, 8 o'clock, right? It's like 7 or 8 o'clock, and all of a sudden, I'm at like that point, right? And I got that much left. It's like, okay, well, I said read Sanderson there. It's 8 o'clock. Why don't I just? Like, what am I going to do for the rest of the night? Let's be quite frank. What am I going to do for the rest of the night? What do I have to do for the rest of the night? Let's say maybe I can have a meal. That doesn't do anything. Like, that doesn't put any spanner in any works. Let's say I've sufficiently done the writing that my heart had in the day. I wrote an opening to a story. I wrote some more of this romantic-y shit I was trying, and I'd done a couple of these big things, which then I would be left only with like 4 hours in the day, and nothing else to put it in, nothing else to do. So why is it not possible to just like read of 2 hours each of these? Mind you, this is why I'm saying it was for like this ancient Spinjutsu Masters, because who in the flying fuck, who in the right mind reads 4 hours a day? But it occurred to me that like when I am this unemployed, the whole point of my studies, it's just crazy by the way, for the recognition in this, the whole point of my studies is to learn. So maybe quite possibly one should read 4 hours a day because I'm getting financed to do it. I'm learning to. I'm in the middle of a master's fucking degree. Let's be realistic, I'm in the middle of a life of specificity, which requires study, and I'm so slow. I'm so slow. Just the fact that yes, to the ancient Spinjutsu Masters who are apparently doing their masters, obviously the unemployed ones like myself, to the unemployed ones like myself, are you kidding? Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Seriously, I should have been through Thoreau and Steinbeck in like a heartbeat, I could have read them so, and I look back, I gave myself a little bit of grace. I was like, you know what? Through January, I read this. Through February, I've gotten through, dang, like that. And I was like, ooh, these, I'm actually reading. I'm feeling myself, and I'm realizing you could have read more. You really could have read more. Because even though I think I've read an impressive amount up until this point, I have work that needs doing, and that work requires me to be in the right mindset to do it. And if I have all these books lingering over my head, I'm going to feel bad about it. But I don't read these books because I end up wasting time, and then all of a sudden I got double over my head. And the point in that, which I'm trying to make, is I said I would start the writing, the actual writing, to said stories at the end of this week. It's Friday. I might have gotten through maybe 6 books. In like 2 weeks. There might have been more than that. But I'm thinking realistically, that would have been the perfect time to have just crumbled under the pressure of the YouTube gods and just whipped out one of those I'm about to read 20 books in 4 minutes challenge. You know, it could have been done. But then again, I do start to question, okay, how much of that would I have retained and felt? Because it seems like with a good book, the longer you sit on it, you know. But yeah, I think now there's no time for regrets. You know, there's no I can't sit here and have regrets. I could maybe look at the week and also what the hell does that say? 27th of February. What's the 27th of February? Not a clue what that says. There's a big circle on it, by the way. Like it's important. Oh, cow party, yeah. House party. Homecoming. Not homecoming. Housewarming. There you go. Housewarming party. I could take the week to crank out, you know, X amount of books. I don't know if that would be healthy, because most of these books are for like study of, you know, June, July, basically. Well, May, June, July. And I got work I need to do between March, April. And I'm quite I think I'm putting the angles all differently. But regardless, you know, these books need read, and throughout the days, you know, your work's not really going to be fulfilled if you're just on that, you know, on your opiate. Shout out to the other video. When you're scrolling all day. But it's a hard bloody thing. I think all people can recognize, which is why I'm saying it's a Spinjutsu technique, because I feel like I've seen so many videos where guys are just walking with the performative, you know. I mean, lad, how do you do that? How are you reading that quick, and why are you reading in that place and that time? Then again, maybe it's best for all people to just schedule times where you read, and in that I can understand, and just say, when it comes to being like ancient masters, Spinjutsu, like green ninja, you know. When it comes to being the green ninja, maybe it's actually a beneficial thing to like do a lot, you know. I think I'm at that time now where in the undergrad, it was very easy to coast by. No, that's a lie. I think it was very easy to coast by. And the mindset I have wasn't as attentive. I think I did more work than I did now. It's just that the work I do now is synthesized, and it you know, it's hard. Like it's like boom, compared to the undergrad where I did a lot of work, but a lot of that work was really like low key, small stuff that you know grew over time. And when it comes to this whole, well, I'm at that synthesized level, you know, where I should be really good at. Maybe there's always more to be done, you know, more to be done. And in this, there's definitely something to say about how your work your work is fulfilling. I think there is an issue in this where because I've not done said work, I'm not fulfilled. That's probably the root of the problem. And I get to wake up and look at these books every day. So, you know, when you're not knuckle deep in this, you know, when you got these lined up, it's like, Alhamdulillah, what am I doing? And you sort of, you know, your nigh crash out. So, I think to the ancient Spinjutsu Masters out there, maybe when you've mastered something, it's not time to slow down, but speed up and do more because you're capable of doing more at that point, you know? It's like the government, when they were just men mining coal, you know? But if you could hold an AK-47 to a little black kid's head, in Congo, then you can mine cobalt. Quite that's obviously a side tangent. It's a joke, but when you get all these industrial capable machinery, then you can mine it faster. You know, so it doesn't seem like they stop or slow down when they get the ability to do more. They do more. And I think I'd read very recently in this book, it went from like in Newcastle, it went from X amount of tons, maybe 2,000 tons to 1,000,000 tons in a very quick time. So when you're a master, and I'm not a master by the way, like I'm not trying to say I should. When you get to that level where you've been going for more than bloody 2 seconds, maybe you think about like the fact that you have the ability to do the craft well, so maybe you could do it really well. And especially if you look at the time in your life, you could think to yourself, oh wow, wouldn't it be crazy if I just speedrun this shit? Or like okay, that sounds like the reading videos, but I have the potential, I've got the ability to read faster, absorb better, write quicker, live more intentionally. I have more clarity and more mental conscious space than I when I was 20. Maybe it's actually easier for me to work more efficiently now, so then I should go away and do that thing. And I think that's the point. It's for the ancient Spinjutsu Masters out there who are on a master's degree or whatever they are. You've gotten to that level. Let's be naturally honest. You've gotten that level where you can't really dick about because you're quite far advanced in it. You're like, why dilly dally? You're wasting talent at that point. And for those who aren't Spinjutsu Masters, who read 400 pages a day because they're just naturally autistic. I think that's a product of it. Being autistic helps read. ADHD on the other hand, no. Not for the ancient Spinjutsu Masters, but for the elementals, for the insane elementals out there who have that one special breed of autism where you can sit down and read a book. Shout out to one girl from back in the undergrad who was sitting there. She fucking hell. She went through Count of Monte Cristo maybe in a week. Yeah, for the ancient elemental masters, in which the Spinjutsu Masters derive their percentile of a power from. My master. Just keep doing your thing, honestly, because if you can pull that shit out the bag, you're winning. You've won. Yeah. Anyway, so the Ancient Elementals, 120 pages. Not a shot I'm doing this in a day, but I'll read it today and read it on the bus. I'll read it when I'm back home. Like, you know, stop doom scrolling, innit?